Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show.
We just got breaking news in.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show. I have emerged from the cave. The technology took a dump on me. Sorry for that, everybody. Headphones, we were literally in the green room like 2 minutes from starting, and my headphones just decided they were not going to work anymore. So, yeah, here we are.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Tried a laptop, tried everything. You know, it was a good time. 40 minutes of fun experiences. So,
And when it was all said and done, I may or may not have messed with Cody to piss him off a little bit.
yeah. Yeah. I was already a little tilted. I was like, all right, let's see if we can get into this and get in a better mood because we all know how the tech issues go. So, but we're here. We're going. Sorry for the wait, everyone. Appreciate you guys being patient. Yeah, thanks for anybody that was hanging out with Dan that whole time while I was trying to figure this out. But yeah,
I was making Harris laugh during that.
Good. But we've got a lot to talk about today. Giants have started to make some moves with their coaching staff. We'll kind of touch on that. Dan and I are going to give our predictions on, some targets in the offseason, like what we feel like the Giants are going to do. Some of them are going to be a little bit more vague. I know, at least for me, a couple of them are going to be a little more vague, but
Yeah.
Just generally speaking, we've got at least a few people that we feel like they're going to target, as well as a few different moves that we've kind of got our eyes on. So we'll do that as well. But you want to just kick it off with the coaching staff first, since we've got a little bit of action there?
Yeah, we can start with that. It seems like they're doing a whole overhaul, to be quite frank. You saw JP go to a bullpen coach position with Atlanta, which I think is pretty surprising. So that's another position that needs to be filled in the staff. And then another long-term coach is gone as well. I always forget his name. What's his name, Cody?
Alston.
For whatever reason, I want to say Halston every time. Alston is gone. But yeah, it really seems like Tony V wants to either bring his guys in or he's got a plan and structure, and it's all about it coming to fruition. So, yeah, I mean, there's action. That's what you can say. There's action that's already starting, and it's all starting to come together. So we'll see what this vision's looking like. But yeah, the JP, I don't know if it was a resignation or they just parted ways, because he had mentioned he wanted to be on the staff. So I don't know exactly what went down, but that was probably one of the more shocking ones of the day for me.
Yeah, I think almost everybody liked JP and felt like he did a solid job last season. I felt like he would have been a strong guy to keep around, but I had to feel, especially with the bigger spots, like the bench coach, the pitching coach, the hitting coach, I think Tony's got guys in mind. Because the last few years he's had interest. He said that he said as much, that he's had some people, not any firm discussions necessarily, but he's known teams have been kind of sniffing around him as a candidate. And I don't think anybody gets to that point without having put some serious thought into people that they want in certain roles. So I think he's going to have some guys in mind. I have for anybody that follows me on X, I already put out the guy that I think is ultimately going to end up as the hitting coach. And at this point, it's it makes almost too much sense not to happen. And that's when inevitably it'll be some guy that was completely off the radar. So we'll go into that. I don't really know, as far as pitching coach, who they might be looking at. We'll see there. Obviously, Tingler is being brought in as the bench coach, more than likely. I think they haven't really announced an official role there, but I think all signs would point to that. And that was probably the most predictable move. I think all of us were kind of on that. where it just with his prior relations with Vitello, it just made too much sense.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I like that move. Don't get me wrong, but kind of like what Nordhaus said in the chat. It Vitello needs his guys, and he's got a plan. He's got a vision. Obviously, he, Manizen, and Buster, they've definitely got a vision and an outline plan. And I really think it just came down to, hey, the prior two managers we've seen have kind of had bits and pieces from prior regimes. They're just trying to structure it as, bring in a couple guys, retain a couple guys, switch a couple roles. It seems like it's really just like an overhaul. Like, now we're going to lay this out. We're going to have, each staff member, each coach assigned, and we're going to do this. Like, we're all going to be on the same page going forward. And I'm it's kind of like a breath of fresh air. I kind of like that. So yeah, JP kind of sucks to lose. I think he did a great job last year, but it's probably for the best just to start with a clean slate with your new manager.
Yeah, yeah. The one thing that I will say with JP, and this could be part of why they made the decision they did. Um, they had a lot of success overall with the pen, especially the rotation overall was pretty solid. You look at their staff numbers, for pitching, I think they were pretty close to top 10, at least during the first, until that prior to the All-Star break, they were probably a top 10 staff in baseball. And then they blew it up a little bit overall with the pen. So, you look at that and it looks like, okay, he did a really good job. But I will say the one thing with JP, none of the young pitchers really seem to take a huge step.
That
Roop
is
did
true.
pretty solid. He was probably the one that did with the big league club. And I'd say Randy did from year 1 to year 2. But
like Birdsong, for
yeah,
example.
Birdsong, they couldn't get that figured out. Harrison was going through a whole lot when he was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if they want to get maybe somebody that's got a little stronger history, especially with developing younger pitchers. Like I could see that being kind of the idea there. And when he was over at Tennessee, at Tennessee they were big on like the big velo and all that stuff over there. So it'll be kind of interesting. Obviously the pros is a completely different, state of development than colleges. So it's going to be really fascinating to see who he goes with for the pitching coach.
Yeah. I'm curious what the vision is, man. And you're going to start seeing more hirings, I think, over the next several days to weeks. So you got your first one in Tingler. I think more is to come, probably this upcoming week. But yeah, with that and with what's his name, Burrell already saying like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be with the Giants. I just don't know what role." You tweeted about it or posted on X, whatever you want to say. That is pretty telling that they're likely looking for their own hitting coach as well. So it's gonna be pretty cool to see how it all comes into play here.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the hitting coach because I kind of half mentioned him. Um, I don't know, a week or two ago, we were talking about the coaching staff, and I mentioned, obviously Ecker. I think we all felt was maybe a name that could be in play with especially with Posey's history there. Um, and I had mentioned, hey, the two hitting coaches, the assistants in Toronto, like that's where to me your search should begin there.
Of
And then
course.
I dug a little bit more on those guys, just kind of, hey, what are these guys' backgrounds? And as Dan says here, Hunter Mentz, who is one of the assistants over in Toronto, he actually might be their number 3. I don't know how they structure that, but he's one of the assistants there. He went to University of Missouri from 2004 to 2006. And if you just happen to take a look at that University of Missouri coaching staff back in those years, Tony Vitello was there from 2003 to 2010, amongst his stops prior to ending up at the University of Tennessee. So just I look at that and I go, so he's already got a history with Vitello. The only other guy I could find really that had a strong ties to Vitello was, Tingler, and he's already gotten hired. So it just kind of makes sense coming from that Toronto system where he's been in charge of minor league development there for years. He was still supposedly his current role. He was still kind of overseeing the minor leagues and the player development side, as well as being a assistant hitting coach on the big league roster. I was kind of looking into that. It was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Posts a lot of instructional stuff. If you go onto his Instagram, we had a whole discussion about bat speed and things like that, like a week or two ago. You look at his background and it's, get your best swing off, and his handle is literally do damage hitting. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, yeah, okay, I'm pretty sure anybody that's got that in their profile, you're going to try and address the bat speed issue that's been going on with this franchise. And then, we all saw what Toronto did as far as putting the ball in play, really making adjustments with 2 strikes. It makes sense as a target. So I'd almost be shocked at this point if that's not the guy. But, we don't know who they're actually talking to. So we'll see.
I'm trying to think. A good handle for Pat Burrell would be stare 3-0 fastball down the middle. Or something like that. Just the complete opposite of do damage.
I could think of Pat Burrell's handle, but it's not really hitting appropriate. I'm shaking something. That's all I'm going to say.
But no, dude, like it would be nice to get, a piece from that organization as far as hitting is concerned, because it's night and day compared to what we saw this past year.
Yeah, and it's hard because you never know. When you have assistants and stuff like that, like it's hard to know. Popkins obviously came over, and that's when everything changed. Well, you're not going to get Popkins, so it's like you don't know until that guy's in your building how much influence they had on the big changes that took place. So that's where it gets a little bit. It's going to get a little interesting there if they bring someone like that in, because it's like it could be amazing and it could just totally flop if he's just not as good as you hoped, and then it all of a sudden becomes clear that, oh yeah, all right, it's like Popkins did that. It's almost like when everybody hired any coaches from Bill Belichick over the years, and they'd always flop, and it's like, okay.
Josh McDaniels.
Yeah. The only one that didn't was Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
Of all of them. I think Charlie Weiss maybe had a little bit of success down in like Notre Dame, but limited.
Nothing substantial, yeah.
No. So, Vitello's presser, he mentioned not needing necessarily the best or brightest, but someone who has your back, which is a bit curious because you don't always want the best. Because don't you always want the best and brightest? I would say yes, but also to Tony's point, like if it's somebody that's kind of has their own agenda, like I think that's kind of more what he's pointing at, is like it has to be a, everybody's got to be pulling the same direction. Everybody's got to be a team player, so to speak, and which should be the case, but as we all know, that sometimes isn't.
I was gonna say, I feel like that comment's more directed towards like a chemistry standpoint.
Yeah,
it's like if you've got good chemistry and good relationship with your staff as a whole, that'll go a lot farther than if you don't get along with somebody, but they happen to be book smart. You know what I mean? Just hypothetically speaking. So, Ed, we don't talk about Mike Vrabel. I forgot how to say his name, because I have Travion Henderson in my dynasty league, and Mike Vrabel hates him. So, with a burning passion for whatever reason.
Sorry, Bucky Irving hates me, so that's all good.
He hates all of us, man. I've got him in that league too, by the way. He's comfy on my IR. Anyways,
Dan's over here. He's like, I drafted Bucky Irving. I drafted Malik Neighbors. I drafted
Travion Henderson, Malik Neighbors. Oh, and my redraft, I had them and Tyreek Hill. Yeah, I'm going through it this year.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to just jump right into predictions here.
Oh, really quick. Harris says, didn't Manny want to be a hitting coach? You don't say that to Cody.
Yeah, I'm good off Manny. Sorry. I don't need Manny being Manny in our dugout. I'm sure he knows a lot, but I'm good.
I'm good.
So I'd rather get, I don't know. The best hitters don't always make the best hitting coaches. I thought I would just point that out. There are some. I think Don Mattingly, probably really good hitting coach, but there's a lot of great hitters that ultimately are just not like good hitting coaches for everyone, I should say. There's a lot of people that have given Bonds credit for um, their successes at various times. Especially when he was a hitting coach in Miami. I know Yelich really credited him.
Yeah, he did.
Um, but it didn't work for everybody. There's a lot of guys there, and I mean, it can only go so far. I'm not trying to like say Bonds can't coach because he clearly can. If he
I
wanted
mean,
to, he could. But
Pat Burrell's a prime example. Dude mashed in his prime.
yeah, so
And you saw how that turned out. Road King Rob says Wilmer. No.
Wilmer would show everybody how to get the most out of the least impressive, like batted ball metrics.
He'd have an exit velocity of like 82 miles per hour.
We're wanting to improve our bat speed, people.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, we'll jump into predictions here really quick. Dan, did you want to talk about anything as far as like the membership side, what you're doing here soon enough?
We can, yeah. The website released last week. It's gotten a lot of engagement, so shouts out to you guys for taking a look at it. We updated some of the merch. I edited the Ricky's Instagram merch on there, so you'll see that's newly updated and renovated on there. Membership side, we are looking into, as far as myself personally, if anybody is interested, I am going to be ripping packs on the membership side. We're going to be doing lives. I'm going to do a whole holiday edition with the 2025 Tops holiday promo packs. So I'm going to be ripping those, probably giving some away, stuff like that. So if anybody that is a member or is looking to become one, that's going to be an added perk that you're going to get this month. You'll be able to kick it with me. I will be completely unfiltered, and Cody knows exactly what unfiltered caveman is like. And you get to see me rip some packs. That'll be fun. So, yeah, that's what I got going on this month. So, if you guys want to check it out, I will see you there.
Yeah, for sure. Something that we've definitely talked about doing kind of for a while now, I feel like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be pretty cool. Dan's going to be doing that.
And anybody that's looking to get you some merch as we approach the holidays, again, if you're a member, you get 15% off. So make sure you DM me or Cody to get your code.
Absolutely. All right, so you want to get into predictions?
Let's do it, man. I had to edit mine a little bit after I sent you them earlier today. All right. So I got them edited a little bit, but we got a few to go over. It's prediction season as the offseason officially commences. Where should we start?
Well, we'll get the one out of the way that you had put at the top of your list. That I already kind of made that on my prior video. So the first prediction for everybody, we both he actually had the same thing as me. We have that they're going to add 2 players to the 40-man. Obviously, they acquired a couple guys. They DFA'd Mason Black. So now he may or may not end up sticking in the organization. It'll depend on if he gets claimed elsewhere. I don't know if that's been announced one way or the other. A few other guys, not 40-man related, but a few other guys are no longer with the org, as far as like Sam Huff, Sean Jelly are gone. And then I saw like kind of a list of minor league free agents that opted to become free agents this year, and headlined by Hunter Bishop, who's probably the biggest name of that group. Yeah. So our first prediction, both of us kind of had it, we won't go too deep, is Will Bednar and Braxton Roxby, who are going to be the 2 guys that get added to the 40-man to be protected from the Rule 5. So if you want to hear more on that, check out the last video.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, go for it, Dan.
I'll just kind of go through a couple of mine. So, with that being said, since I think they're going to add Bednar and Roxby to the 40, I think they're going to part ways with a couple names that are currently on the 40-man roster. I think they're going to part ways with two of them. And out of those two, it's going to consist of, two of these guys, either Gerard Encarnacion, Marco Luciano, Luis Matos, Grant McCrae, or Wade Meckler. I think out of those five, you're going to have at least two of them get moved in some way, shape, or form. If you were to ask me who I think is favorited to be removed, I would probably start with Luciano. I think that ship's just run its course. And then either Gerard or Matos, which sucks. I'm a Matos guy, but he is running low on option years. I don't know if he even has one left anymore. Yeah, zip. So it's kind of make or break come spring, whether or not they're going to give him a shot or going to have to, let him go. And the same thing goes with Luciano. And then Gerard, I just think it's a numbers game. I don't really see where he fits on the big league roster if you're going to have Bryce make it. So I think out of all those, two of those guys are going to inevitably be removed. And if it was up to me, I would remove Meckler twice. Just want to say it.
Yeah, Meckler's a weird one because I think he's probably going to end up being eligible for that extra option year because he has less than 5 years, I think, of experience. So I could see that one. If he has that option year, I could see him sticking around. I think Luciano for sure is gone. I don't know if Gerard has options left. I would have to look into that. I don't think he does. But I could see a scenario where Matos and Gerard, one of them sticks around if they don't go out and get like a right-handed outfielder. Mm-hmm. But they're going to have to show a lot in spring, especially defensively. I don't really feel like there's any reason to keep Gerard around. That's my personal opinion. He shows some flashes. It's not that I dislike him. I don't see the fit necessarily with the organization. Matos, I think, has upside to improve defensively if they can get the right coaching here. But I get it. Like, if people are not it's hard to be patient. We've seen a lot of tape with him that it's not been necessarily great. He's got enough foot speed and he's got a good enough arm that it's like you shouldn't be as poor a defender as you are right now. It's kind of the same discussions we have about, Ramos. But it kind of is what it is. So I totally get it if people are just kind of done and they're like, you know what, they're going to roll with Gilbert and get a righty, chase a guy like Bader or something like that to play a decent amount against lefties in particular. Like, I could see that happening. And at that point, Matos is going to probably be the odd man out. So, I think Luciano, I just don't even know where they would put him at this point. Like, he's gone. So,
yeah, agreed. And then on the hitters side of things, my other prediction is I don't think the Giants make a splash hitter signing in free agency. I really don't. They'll probably evaluate the trade market, but like you mentioned, maybe a guy like Bader. Maybe they want to go after, Ha-Seong Kim. They were interested in him last offseason. Maybe they, I've heard Gleyber Torres, his name dropped around. I want nothing to do with him, but that's a name that you might be able to hear rumors about. But I genuinely don't think there's going to be a single splashy hitter signing as far as like the bigger names are concerned. With that being said, I do think the Giants, which is probably obvious, but I think they're going to go heavy on the starting pitcher market. So I think they're going to bring in at least two, whether it's in the form of a trade and a free agent signing or two free agent signings. With that being said, there are three starting pitchers that are going to be posted. Imai, which Cody talked about in one of his previous videos. You have Imai, you have Joe Sisu, and Takahashi. Those are three of the bigger pitchers that are going to be posted both by the Japanese and KBO, or they all in one league, I forget. But do a little bit of homework on them. They've all got promising stuff. I want Imai really bad, but his projections are crazy. Experts say he can get anywhere between like 70 mil up to 200 mil. And based on the comments by Greg Johnson this past week, who said that he doesn't want to do any long term starting pitcher signings or spend more than 100 mil on one. Greg Johnson, I hate you, but you just take that with a grain of salt. We'll see how it all plays out. But I think the Giants are going to sign at least one of those three and take a risk on that. And then the second one is going to come in the form, like I mentioned, with more of a mid-tier, 3, 4, 5 starting pitcher in your rotation. It'll be someone like a Merrill Kelly, Max Scherzer, Ponce, which is the name that Cody's been floating around. Maybe a Shota Imanaga if he's not scared of San Francisco anymore. Maybe you call up Pittsburgh and try to snag one of their guys. Who knows? But I think you'll bring in somebody for like the middle to end of your rotation in a form such as that. So I think it'll be a combination of the two. You bring in a guy like that, you'll get one of the pretty exciting Japanese and/or Korean pitchers that are set to be posted. And then I think they're going to really beef up the pen. The name that's been floated around a lot, Tyler Rogers, which is someone that a lot of Giants fans want to see, which I can definitely see being reunion. But I think they'll also bring in a guy maybe like Kenley Jansen on a 1-year deal. Maybe a Williams, maybe a Halsey, somebody like that for the back end of the rotation. Because I'm sorry, I do not want to see Ryan Walker at all in a high leverage situation in the 8th or 9th inning. If you want to have him come in the 6th or 7th, cool, but do not put him in a high pressure situation. Go get you a Jansen on a 1-year deal, a Williams, a Halsey, somebody like that. And yeah, those are my predictions for the offseason. I think it's pretty straightforward. You're going to add a couple guys, you're going to lose a couple guys, you're going to go after one of the unknowns from either Japan or Korea. You're not going to make a huge splash signing in the hitters market. You're going to do something that I've been saying to do for the past year, which is elevate the floor of your team, elevate your bench, elevate your depth, and then you're really going to focus on pitching, both starting and bullpen. So those are Caveman Dan's predictions for you. Clade, no, I don't see Cody Bellinger. I think he's going to command too big of a deal. If you were to ask me if I wanted to do it 3 years ago, sure. Right now, no.
Y'all know how I felt 2 years ago, or 2 off seasons ago.
We were all on the Bellinger hype train.
Pounded that table, man. Bake that doses. Why would Johnson even say such a thing publicly? His comments never age well.
Because he talks out of his ass all the time.
Nobody knows how to piss in Giants fans cereal more than Greg Johnson. The guy just, and to their credit, like, he made some of the break-even comments and then went out and signed Matt Chapman and Blake Snell at the, they went and grabbed him at the 11th hour and went over the tax that year. So, and last season there was a lot of pumping the brakes, and then they went and got Adames, and then they acquire Rafi Devers, which, I get it. These are all moves that really should just be like slam dunks that you just, they're moves you make when you're a big market team. But the way they've talked in the past, they're not moves Giants fans expect. And, I maybe that is what they're trying to do, is just manage expectations. But someone has got to get the mic away from that guy. All he does is piss everyone off every time he opens his mouth. So it's just, and for the longest time, they just let Larry Bear talk, which, he's got his quirks, but then all of a sudden, after all of his issues at the end, it's like, okay, get him away. It's like they haven't figured out, just make Posey the face. Do what the Niners have done with John Lynch and just put John Lynch in front. Now, Jed York can't help himself sometimes, and he still likes to get in front of the microphones, but at least he's toned it down a lot more in recent years
that he has
10 years ago. So, it just drives me insane. But I take it with a grain of salt. There's a possibility that might be their philosophy. Maybe they're scared off after the Cueto and Samardzija deals, 10 years ago. I don't know. I think if the right players are the right people are there, the right options, they went hard at Yamamoto a couple years ago. Obviously, he was a very unique situation where he's 25. Maybe with Amai, that at 28 years old, he's like the youngest starting pitcher on the market. Maybe they feel comfortable giving him a 6-year deal for big money, but they don't for, some of these guys that are 30, 31 in free agency. So we'll just have to wait and see what's going on. Hey, Robert, thanks for joining. Got a new member in here. If you need help with the Discord, just shoot us a message. We'll help get you in.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out Robert. But yeah, it'll be a little, it'll be interesting to see what they do as far as pitching. My predictions, a lot on the same lines. I had one that really overlapped with Dan. I think Tyler Rogers is going to come back. I do think that's one that I will actually be specific on the player. I think Tyler Rogers returns. I think they're going to grab Rogers, and I do think they're going to get either Devin Williams or Kenley Jansen. And the main reason I think it's going to be one of those guys is because I see it as Kenley Jansen would probably be a guaranteed 1-year contract. Devin Williams, if he doesn't get the longer term deal, which I don't think he's going to get what he wants, even though a lot of the underlying numbers like his fastball, the splitter movement or the changeup movement, everything was still in line with his career, averages basically. He just the rest of the numbers just went to hell. So I could see him chasing like a 1-year deal or a 1-and-1 to try and recover his value and then go hit the market. And I think that's going to be kind of what the Giants are looking for, is to try and get a closer in on like a 1-year deal. Because I don't think they want to commit to a 4-year contract for $20 million a year for a guy. Nope. I just don't see that. So that's a specific one. I do think it's going to be a guy, Rogers, and then one of those two guys coming in as the closer. So I could see that. Now, something to keep in mind, I think the Giants are about 62-ish million under the tax. If you sign those two guys, I mean, I don't know what Rogers is going to ultimately get. I would say Jansen's probably going to get around 15 mil if they go that route, anywhere from like 12 to 15. If you're going it for a guy like Devin Williams, even with the down year, he's probably going to still get 15 to 18 if I had to guess. So, you might be looking at 30 million of your payroll right there in those two relievers. And that's why, depending on what they do with the bullpen, because it's going to be, you can either go a little heavier on starters or heavier on the pen. I do think they're going to still go get a bigger starter. I think it's going to be, I do think they're going to chase Amai, but I really think they're going to go get Ranger Suarez. He doesn't eat up the innings. I get it. I think he's hit the injured list like at least once each of the last 4 years. I was reading like 157 innings is his max. He's right around like 140, 150 innings most years. Hopefully they can stretch that out to like at least closer to 170. But he's not necessarily like a big velo guy, but he is extremely reliable as far as like the production he gives.
Yeah.
And he's a big game. He's shown that he throws well in the big games. And also he's shown that he can throw well against LA, which I do think matters to these guys. And he's not necessarily your, he's not necessarily your, Tony Vitello special when it comes to, pitcher type with high velos. I mean, he's going to be throwing, 91 to 93 probably. Sink down at the bottom of the zone, and he just gets guys out. And yeah, I really like Suarez. I think he'd be a good fit. And I do think, as Dan mentioned, I brought up Ponce a few times. I think he would be a good target if you are going to go get one of these kind of front end, a number 2 or 3 type starter that's going to probably command 20 to 25 million a year. I think Suarez's projection for MLB Trade Rumors, they do their yearly thing, is like 5 for 115, which, if you can get him for 23 mil a year, I think that's a pretty solid deal overall.
I want to stop you right there. I got a fun joke that I know you'll appreciate that nobody in the chat will understand. I think Ranger Suarez's game would translate really well at Oracle Park.
Yes. It's for anybody that's wondering, it's a running joke for all of us because every interview we do, Dan, especially with offensive players, it's always, so how do you think your game's going to translate to Oracle Park?
Every time.
Been
a running joke for the past freaking year, and I love it.
I keep waiting for him to ask the pitchers, and they're gonna be like, "Dude, this park is huge. Of course."
I can't wait to ask that to Dakota.
Yeah, dude.
He's just gonna be
Yeah,
like, "See ball, hit ball." Like, amen,
yeah.
brother.
He's gonna be like, "Well, unless they move the fence up by the glove, I'm fine."
Exactly.
Oh man. Yeah.
Anyways,
So
continue. It
yes,
popped up. I was like, I cannot hold it in. I gotta say it.
I gotta have it. But yeah, so the reason I think Ponce makes a lot of sense, and I don't know what his money's going to look like. Honestly, it's so hard to project the guys coming over from Korea. Um, MLB trade rumors, they put it at 2 for 22 mil, so 11 million a year. And yes, he's an unproven commodity. Totally get that. Um, but as it is with all these guys, it's about projection, it's risk management. And if you're trying to get a front end guy and fill out your bullpen and not go way over the tax, like you're going to have to try and get a guy on kind of a good deal, so to speak. And I think he's got a lot of upside, and it's a very low risk move. I mean, yes, it's 11 million a year, but if you can get him for like 2 years, that's really not that bad. So, and this is a guy that he threw 180 innings in Korea last year in a 144 game season. So, that's a few starts less than he would necessarily get here. So I like that as a move with a front end, or a 2 or 3 level starter. I don't think he can be your only guy that you go get for the rotation, but I feel like if you can get him, you've got some upside. And he struggled in his time in Major League Baseball a few years ago, went to Japan, improved his off speed a little bit in Japan, has gotten his velocity up a little bit. I think he's up from, I think they said he was averaging about 93.2 his last stint. When I looked at Baseball Savant, that was about his average velo for his fastball. Now they're saying it's like 95, 96. So he's improved that a little bit. It'll be interesting. There's some precedent there with guys like Merrill Kelly, Fetty. There's another I'm forgetting the name on, but there's another that came over from Korea in somewhat recent years that had some success. So I think that would make a lot of sense. And then my last prediction, unless I'm forgetting one, I don't have them in front of me right now. My last prediction, I think they're going to make an impact trade. I don't know who.
Brendan Donovan.
Yeah, that would be an impact trade. Could be Brendan Donovan. It could be, they go crazy and they go get Scooble. It could be they go, I've seen people talking about Joe Ryan. I don't think it's going to be those guys, mind you, but if there's one thing they've shown us, like Posey's not afraid to make the big move. And with Manassian's background, I just think they're going to go make a big trade. And I have no clue who the player is going to be. I don't even know who's necessarily available out there. Freddie Peralta, that'd be another big one. Posey says that we're trading every interview. Yeah, they're constantly looking at that. Junior had mentioned Peralta. That could be the guy. I think that would make a ton of sense, and I don't think he's going to necessarily cost as much as people think, given that he only has 1 year left on his deal. I think that's in Posey's DNA and Manassian's DNA to go make aggressive trades. And I think they're going to do something, and I just interested to see who it is, what it is. I hope it's kind of like the Devers thing, and it's not like this slow build up to something. I hope it's like the Devers thing where we just get a bomb dropped on us one night. That'd be super cool, super fun and exciting when we get those. But yeah, I think that was my last prediction. I'll have to pull up my notes and see if I had anything written down. But
I took a look at it. I think that's everything. But yeah, dude, just imagine they do something like they bring in a Freddie Peralta, they'd sign an Imai, they sign a Kenley Jansen, they sign a Tyler Rogers. Like, imagine an offseason like that. That'd be so exciting.
Yeah. And hey, Greg Johnson would love to hear this. You could go trade for Freddie Peralta and trade for Brendan Donovan. That's only $14 million right there.
There you go.
You go sign Ponce for like 11. You got 20. That's only $25 million. You get 3 guys.
Yeah. Yeah, money to spend.
Yeah. Then they'll spend double. They'll spend more than that on just the bullpen. But
You know what I
Yeah.
just remembered? There was a piece of news that we didn't talk about.
What do we
The bat
forget?
the bad man is gone. Tom Murphy's gone, you guys. We forgot to talk about it.
Oh man, marked safe. I almost made the Facebook meme when I saw that.
Dude.
Yeah, listen, I am very much a give almost any guy a chance. Like when they make a deal, I'm always like I've always tried to be the voice of reason on those where it's like even if I don't necessarily see it with a guy when he's elsewhere, like just young with prospects, same thing. It's like, okay, just give him a chance, give him a chance. That was a move I hated from the millisecond it got announced.
Same, dude.
Couldn't even.
That was
So
around the time when we all were chatted up on Bleacher Report, and I remember telling you guys as soon as that happened, I was like, "This is a dumb signing,"
yeah,
and it was a dumb
100%.
signing.
Harris says they got to go big to compete with LA, and I think ultimately yes, and you know where that where the big part comes in. It doesn't necessarily have to be financial. I know everybody would love to see them go $150 million over the tax like the Dodgers do and just not care. Um, I think realistically, we can't expect that out of this organization. As much as we all want it, like it's just not it's not realistic. I think best case is going to be they're going to, they're going to start selling out again. They'll start winning again, and they've shown when they're winning, they're willing to open up the checkbook a little bit. And I think that they'll consistently go up over the tax in that case and be like a top, 6 or 7 payroll, maybe top 5, maybe. But I don't think we're ever going to see this team, not as long as the Johnsons are the, majority or not majority, but like the biggest part of the ownership groups. I don't see them being a top 3 payroll.
No,
So
no, not happening. But you can go big without, draining the bank, if that makes sense. Doing moves like you just said, if you're able to get Brandon Donovan, a Freddie Peralta, those are big moves that'll help your team, and it's not going to break the bank. Yeah. Like you just got to get creative with it, and what we've seen out of Buster since he came in is he'll get creative with it. I mean, the Rafi deal was a freaking home run. So he will get creative with it. I really wonder what the plan is and what the vision is, because especially after seeing them, your biggest rival, go back to back with the World Series, like you got to do something. Yeah. You just finished right around 500 for seems like the 8th year in a row. Feels like. You gotta go and do something. You got the core pieces, man. I've talked about it in prior live shows. You got the core. Say Nate Shearholz. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. What the heck?
Nasty Nate, man. That dude had a hose.
He did have a hose.
Good Lord.
He was just bipolar at the plate.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, seeing your rival make and win the World Series for the 2nd year in a row, that's gotta, light a fire inside you to want to go and kick their ass next year. And you got the pieces, you got the tools, you got the new manager, you're bringing in a new coaching staff, you've got a lot of money that dropped off the payroll with some of these free agents leaving. Like you mentioned, you got 67-ish mil to play with before you hit that luxury tax. I mean, you got everything that you need. You just got to go and execute. Yeah. And how you're going to do so, I don't know. There's not many holes that are needed, but the ones that are, they're pretty urgent. Go and address those. Go make some creative moves. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can go about this, like the two of us have said with our predictions. And I don't want to wait around anymore. I'm tired of having the 2021 season to look back and be proud of in the last 11 years. I'm sorry. So I don't know. I want to see something happen, and I want to look back come spring training and be like, man, that was a fun off season.
Yeah. I just and it's not it's the whole like, don't give us hope thing. Or it's the hope that'll kill you, and the famous Ted Lasso quote. But yeah, I mean, we want to go into next season with at least hopes that like this is a playoff roster. Like
Yep.
you want to feel like this has got a team that's got a really good shot. And yeah, I mean, I think it's very blatantly obvious that they need to go um, address the pitching staff in particular. I think that is just a gaping hole on this roster right now. They don't even try and hide like Vitello and Minazzi, and like they don't even sugarcoat it. They've just been like, yeah, it needs help, which
Yeah.
is like GM talk for like it sucks. Because if they're saying like just openly it needs help, they know the state of it. Um, and you look around on the market, and other than a few of the people have named, like Bellinger or Bo Bichette or Tucker, like there's not really a lot of position players out there that can greatly help this team that you feel very confident are upgrades over what you got. And with Bichette in particular, like is this team really going to have all four of their entire infield locked up for 5-6 years? I just don't see that happening.
Yeah.
Tucker, I mean, maybe they shock everybody and they're willing to, but I have a hard time believing they're going to go put out a $400 million contract for him. That's just my opinion. Bellinger, as we mentioned, I don't like that deal now that he's 30. I don't want to give that guy 6-7 million or 6-7 years. I would have done that 2 years ago when he was 28. I'm not doing that now. That's just, again, that's my personal philosophy there. Because as Tom mentioned, the Dodgers will age out sooner than you think, make smart acquisitions and live with it. And it's hard. It's hard to know for sure. But because if Otani's just one of those freaks that doesn't like slow down with age for 4 or 5 more years, they might be really good for a long time. But you don't want to put yourself in a position where you went all in to try and catch them over the next 2 or 3 years, and then in year 4 and year 5 you're just completely screwed, and you're going to be terrible for 3 or 4 years because of the financial situations you put yourself in with some of these deals. So it just does not that doesn't make sense to me. I think the pitching is where you really got to focus, and you're going to have to get a hitting coach, and you're probably going to have to hope that the most of the improvements you're going to see at the plate are going to be from getting somebody in that can hopefully maximize what you have, because they have talent. I mean, Matt Chapman's not a bad hitter. Maybe not the most ideal guy to have up with a runner in scoring position or in like a super high leverage at bat, but he's not a bad hitter. Willy Adames is a lot of good tape. Rafi Devers is probably a top 15-ish hitter in the game.
Arguably top 10.
Ramos was an all-star 2 years ago. And last year wasn't terrible. He just had a power outage for 2.5 months. I think there's talent, and Lee has shown flashes that he can hit. Like there's ability on this roster. They just got to get someone that can get the most out of it.
Yeah. And I want to touch on this comment here by K-Town Bound. It says, let's not forget that he signed only 2 players last offseason. Yes, one was Willy Adames, but good God, man, only 2. You know how frustrating it is seeing other teams spending on a big market team. That goes hand in hand with my point, though. They went into last offseason and going into this past season in general with guys like Lamont Wade Jr. on the roster, Wilmer Flores, Mike Yastrzemski, guys that were literal dead weight, but for the sake of, I don't know, keeping fans happy, for the sake of memory making, whatever it was, hesitant to cut them. You're limited on how many free agents you can go and sign and bring in when there's not much free space available and you're not willing to free up some space. So now that you got those 3 guys gone, and you can look at your roster now and say, okay, second base may need to be upgraded, corner outfield position absolutely needs to be upgraded. Now you can set your sights on those 2 positions in particular if you want to go and tackle the offensive side of things. Then you look at the rotation itself. You got Verlander that's gone now. Really, you've got just Logan Webb and then Robbie Ray in the last year of his deal, and then a bunch of unknowns. Okay, now we can target the pitching staff. as an area of opportunity, an area to upgrade. So it's a little bit different outlook, and you're also looking at it from the perspective of last offseason, you went into the offseason knowing that the year prior you went over that CBT tax, and they're hesitant to do it again for the sake of, the penalties that you get from it for a consecutive year. Well, they try to stay under that last season. Now you're well under it this year. So now you got financial flexibility. You got a couple spots on your roster itself from a hitting perspective, an offensive perspective, that you can upgrade, and you see what the needs are as far as the pitching staff and bullpen is concerned. So that's why I say, like, there's less dead weight, and you can be a little bit more flexible in how you approach the offseason. So
Yeah. I'm going to address a few of these we have in here. Sean says, I think they want second base to be flexible so Adames can move there eventually.
maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is probably a thought in the org that that's eventually going to have to be the case. How soon? It's hard to know. I mean, God, you asked everybody on May 1st last year, they'd be like, Adames needs to be there like a month ago. But then he turned into one of the better shortstops and defensive shortstops in baseball the last 5 months. I think he was like ranked like 7th.
Yeah, he was top
yeah,
10 defensively.
Yeah, for the last 5 months, he was really good. So he looked like the old Willie Adames. Hold on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, dog. A couple others in here. Sorry, this just made me laugh. So as if I had a time machine, I'd go back and put the Frank and Jamie McCourt divorce. You me both, brother. Jesus says, are the Giants willing to give up draft picks and international pool money for players who are qualified offers? I think if the last 2 years have shown us anything, that they absolutely have a willingness to do that.
Yeah.
I can't say I have much information on anyone beyond the top guy in this year's class, but when they got Adames, they had to forfeit $1 million, or I think it was $500,000.
500.
Yeah, 500. 2 draft picks and 500,000 in international money. They still went and got Jesus Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, I'm sorry.
Oswar.
Yeah, I said Jesus, huh? Joshua. Other guy. I had the wrong player in mind. Sorry. 2 years ago, they got Chapman and Snell. That impacted the pool with Joshua Gonzalez. They still went and signed him. Last year, they went and got Willie Adames, and by all accounts, they're favored to get Luis Hernandez, who's their top guy. I don't know beyond him who they've got. We were hearing about Luis Hernandez before Joshua had even signed. I haven't heard about anybody in the 2027 signing period.
No.
So I don't know if the Giants really have a top guy that they're have any kind of agreements with. It might be a year where they don't, but even if they don't, I wouldn't let that discourage people, because the year prior they got the 36th ranked international prospect, and that was Johnny Level, who's very close to being a top 100 prospect right now. So I think they're willing to, and as long as it's not going to impact whatever they've got coming in that pool, I don't think they care. They'll still do it. And if they're still able to get these top guys even with forfeiting the money, I think it's just even more reason that they just don't mind.
Yeah, agreed. Plain and simple, agreed.
Yeah. All right, let's go through a couple of these chats. We're going to probably cut this at about an hour-ish, so we're going to try and get a few more. Oh, yeah, here you go. A lot of you, I don't know if you guys saw.
Thank God. That's how I feel.
I think, somebody had mentioned, God, I can't remember what their new channel. It's the skaters they used to be. They had posted a thing showing that that they had taken down all the nothing like it signs, so maybe they're finally changing this. Tom says you're gonna love these geriatrics.
Thank God they got rid of that stupid slogan, bro.
Yeah.
It became a meme at that point where it'd be like Giants baseball, nothing like it. It's like really a root canal is just like it.
Yeah. Takes just as long and it's just as painful to watch.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Nothing to like.
Nothing like.
Yeah. I know I used to say no one likes it for a while there when they
Mm.
were running all the platoons, and it was just like, I just can't do it. But never have a slogan with the word nothing in it.
Amen to that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, truth. Robert says Sharks 1-2-1. Dan will be definitely happy about that. I mean, I like the Sharks. I'm not like the biggest hockey guy, so but I do root for them.
I got my Sharks hat right here. What you mean?
Yeah. Dan rocks a Celebrini jersey every now and then on the show.
Dude, you wanna hear something dumb that I did today? You guys will probably enjoy this. So my birthday's coming up in a couple weeks, and I'm going to a Sharks game the night before just to celebrate. And I really wanted to get a new jersey. And I was looking on eBay and I saw this one that I've never seen before. I'm like big into like thrifting and stuff. There's this vintage Sharks jersey from the 90s I saw. It's sick, bro. And I was like, dude, I want that. And so without even looking at any of the details, the specs, where it's shipping from, any of that, I just dropped X amount of money and bought it. And then I got the expected ship delivery and I was like, why is this so long? It's shipping from Ukraine. So they said, hey, your jersey will arrive in 2 to 4 weeks. And I'm like, well, my birthday's in 2.5 weeks. I kind of need that for the game. But yeah, it's coming from Ukraine. So I might need to buy another one.
Yeah.
So there's the dumb caveman thing of the day for you guys.
That's hilarious. Clayton says thoughts on Imanaga.
I talked about it earlier.
Play. Yeah, I think he's in play. I like Imanaga. I think he'd be a good fit in San Francisco. He's a little bit prone to giving up tanks. He's a bit home run prone. I think he's given up like 58 in 2 seasons. Now he's at Wrigley, where on any given day it can be the greatest pitching park in the majors or one of the worst, because just depends on what way the wind's blowing that day. As a guy that likes to live at the top of the zone with a kind of flatter fastball, he's got like that low release where he can get a lot of people swinging under it, but when guys don't swing under it, it goes a long ways. But overall, like, I like his game. If you can get him on a 2 or 3 year deal, like, I would be all for it. It's really just cost dependent for me, as it is with anyone. Like, there are guys on the market I would rather them go use the money on, but you could end up circling to Imanaga at some point. It's kind of how I feel.
So with Imanaga, I have a few thoughts on him. So back when he was first posted, I used to have a somewhat of a source connected with the organization, and I'd keep the guys updated whenever I heard something. I don't have one anymore. I don't pretend to be a Bay Area Bob. But the Giants were very, very interested in Imanaga when he was posted. And Imanaga had some critical opinions on the city of San Francisco. And he said that contributed to his reason for choosing Chicago over the Bay Area. I made a somewhat of a joke about it earlier when I mentioned him briefly. If he's gotten over that supposed fear of SF or whatever, like, bring him in, man. Like Cody said, if you can get him on a 3-year deal, it's not going to completely break the bank. I think he would be a wonderful number 3 in your rotation. Like, he's got great stuff, and yeah, like Cody said, he's prone to giving up a little bit of long ball. Hey, what better ballpark to give up a deep fly out than Oracle Park? So yeah. I think if there's a chance for it and you can get him on like a 2-3 year deal, absolutely do it.
Yeah, it makes sense. K-Town says, would I rather have in mind now or wait until Hiroto Psyche is posted next year or so? I like in mind now more. Psyche is a bit more of a project. Raw stuff. He's got they comp him to Freddie Peralta with his extension and the high release, but needs better breaking ball.
I posted on it on X, dude. I really want Imai.
Yeah. Mark.
Figure of SF.
Yeah.
He was just critical. I don't want to get into everything that was said, but it's just like a.
Yeah, I don't even honestly remember what specifically it was said. I just remember kind of. I know Seiya Suzuki had a similar thing.
He had some thoughts as well. It's.
Yeah.
I don't. How do I say it and be
fed to them too? Like it's
yeah.
like there's people telling these guys like you don't want to go there, and it's.
I think that's what a lot of it was. I'm like, how do I say it and try to be politically correct without pissing people off?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, well, and remember a couple of years ago when like even like Rowdy Tellez was sitting there making comments about it, and everyone's like, "Bro, you're from Sacramento, shut up." And it was like stuff like that. Yeah, the city was getting dumped on for a couple of years.
Yeah,
it's sad. But...
Yeah, Dan, that's what I was hearing too, and that's what I was telling the guys back when it was. I was like, dude, he's gonna sign with San Francisco, and all the guys were like, you don't got any connections. I was like, I'm telling you, he's gonna sign with them, and then he did with the Cubs. It's the exact same thing that Dave was mentioning. So,
yeah,
there was a ton of interest. It's just, I'm like Cody said, I'm pretty sure somebody got in his ear about the city of San Francisco and like the false narratives on it.
Yeah. Just seem to be out there.
No.
Scrolling through these. Oh,
exactly, Jen. That's what it is.
A movie. You'd have to educate him on that. I wouldn't be able to help. Although I feel like they've won like what 5 of 6 or something like that. Or
they're on a heater, man. It's just they're hella young. That's really what it is. They got a bunch of great pieces. I would bet my house that they're gonna at least make a push for a wild card position next year.
Yeah, they might do it this year. Who knows? And in mid would be a big improvement of where they were.
Yeah, it was a rough few years, man.
This isn't the Giants where they've been mid for 4 years. They were god awful. I know that. So mid would be an improvement.
2 years ago, watching the Sharks, I was depressed.
Yeah. Man. Let's see.
Thought he might not get signed because Farhan pursued. No, he pursued.
Yeah. Farhan went hard at both of those guys.
He did, but
him not getting Yamamoto, I mean, I think had he gotten Yamamoto, I think there's a chance Farhan might still be here. Honestly.
Yeah.
Dude is good. Oh, man. Yep, Sharks know how to pick a lane. Wouldn't it be great if Greg Johnson was actually learning how to play poker?
Honest thoughts on the second base market reunited in HSK and JHL, Polanco. I mentioned that briefly. It wouldn't shock me if they pursue Hassan Kim. I think if you bring him in, and he'd obviously be a huge boost to the depth of your team. I don't know about having him as your everyday starter, but he'd definitely be a boost to the depth. And just for the culture in general, I think that'd be really nice. It just really depends on how they view Casey, like Amuli said.
Yeah.
I made a post about it on X. It's like, and I mentioned it briefly on the show as well. It's like, how many legitimate upgrades are there that's available that you can go out and get right now to replace Casey or to upgrade over Casey? There's not many.
Yeah.
And that's really the way they got to approach it and look at it. I mean, if you're going to do it, you're going to go at it with like a Brendan Donovan trade, because you're not going to go out and sign Bo Bichette for 180, 200 mil and plug him in at second base. Like, I just don't see that happening. Or go for an Alex Bregman, who's going to have a huge market. I just don't see any of those being realistic options. Plus, you tie that back with what Cody mentioned earlier. Do you want to have your entire infield locked down for 5-6 years? It's, there's a lot of things to consider there. So I just can't see it, man. I can't see them going out and having an immediate upgrade over Casey Schmidt.
Yeah. And I would say the other thing with Casey, I think you get him with a good hitting coach. I mean, he showed what some of the upside with his bat last season. I think he could that can stay on an upward trajectory. But the big thing for him, like on the defensive side, last season he was preparing to be a utility guy. he had him playing all over the place. He was playing a third, short, second, because he didn't know what his role was going to be. He was just trying to
Yeah.
make the roster. He gets to go into this offseason this year knowing I'm going to go play second base, because he's probably like, I don't think there's any doubt as of right now he is their starting second baseman. This is not a competition at second base.
Yeah.
He is the starting second baseman, just like it was for Fitzgerald going into last season. Like, he is cemented as the starter currently. And I think you're going to see him probably lean out a little bit in the offseason, try and get, as a couple of people mentioned, improve his range a little bit, and get more comfortable over there, because this is a guy that did not have a ton of experience at second going into last season. And even last season, was his range the greatest? No, but the positive was he didn't kick balls either. I think he made one error at second base all year.
Yep, one error.
So it's like, he was really solid. He was reliable. He just didn't have the range that you want. But some of that can improve if, he leans out a little bit and does like agility work and all that. So I think he could improve that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I wonder if the strike changes things. It is imminent, Harish. It is imminent.
Yeah, we will see. I mean, I have mixed feelings on if they're actually gonna miss any baseball. Even if it starts like they had it a few years ago. I think it was post 2021, and then they still didn't miss any games. They just kind of cut spring training a little bit.
Yeah, it'll probably be something similar, but
yeah,
I think that also depends on how this offseason goes. Like, if you see LA go out and they bring in Imai, they bring in Murakami, they bring in Tucker, they bring in Bichette, like they just go absolutely bananas again. Yeah, I think you're going to see a bunch of outrage after this season.
Yeah, it's
and hard. It'll be starting right here live on the Even Year Dynasty show.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's they're not the whole problem. I mean, we're not going to go too deep into this because this will turn into like a 3-hour show if we go into the issues with the current structure. But I mean, there's probably 6 or 7 teams at the bottom of the list that are just as bad or guilty as the Dodgers as far as like what's the problem. So, but yeah,
thanks, Addy.
All right. Yeah, I think we're at probably a pretty good spot here. We'll definitely be back next week, everybody. If you have any other questions, definitely shoot them to us. If you guys have any ideas for things you want us to post coming up, definitely do that. We'll be posting some, certain. I like to post videos where it's like guys I'd be targeting, and I go really in depth on like why I want that guy and why I think it's a good fit, financials, whatever. I'll try and keep posting stuff like that. We're going to have, is it Shane Rademacher on Monday?
Shane Rademacher Monday. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we've got a few players scheduled out, and I think we have Darian Smith the following week. So you guys are going to get to hear from a couple more pitchers. Seems like that's all we're getting right now is all the pitchers. They must be bored, not throwing yet.
Yeah, I told you I was chatting it up with Bravo today. He's going to be on here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll get Bravo. We've got some big names too coming, as well as a few guys you guys have heard from in the past. I know Charlie Zacconi, we're gonna get him back. We've got a few other of the position players, some big names that we're working on and trying to get, and a couple guys. There's at least one current big league roster guy, or at least was in September, that we've got. So
he's already confirmed.
Yeah, you guys are going to hear from a lot of players coming up. We'll keep those coming, hopefully weekly. On the membership side, we're going to do a Trent Harris video. Is going to be next. After that, I don't know if it's going to be Walker Martin, potentially, because I already got the highlights pulled for Walker now that I did that for Ricky. So it might be Walker Martin. We've been talking about maybe doing like Tidwell, so you might see something like that. And, yeah, we'll just keep it coming. Hopefully we get some good news coming up soon. But
my last joke of the day for you guys. Addy says Flores. If Flores gets on the show, it's going to be a 15-minute just straight battle of he and I cussing each other out in Spanish. So if you want that, just let us know.
I'm gonna be sitting there with my phone, just like I'm gonna be like sitting there like this with like the Google Translate on, just the running AI, just cackling. Oh man! All right. Well, I think that's all we got for this week. Thanks everyone for joining. We will catch you next Friday for our next live show. And
We will see you
actually, sorry,
Monday with Shane.
Technically,
Yeah.
Monday with Shane, Friday for the next live. Go Giants, and we'll catch you next time.
Yes, sir.